Hey guys, my name is Jeremy Riddle. I'm a worship leader and a pastor at Bethel Church. It's an honor to honestly just talk about my friend, Todd. It feels fitting when it comes to Todd to basically just start with a story because Todd's just full of stories, if anyone knows, and his stories don't end. You know, it's like one of his testimonies. You think you're just going to get one testimony and then you realize that it's just a stream of testimonies. But anyway, my first experience with Todd, I had no grid for who this guy is. I knew him by his hair, which is probably what a lot of people know him by. But he comes to me after a church service, and I'm walking out. I just wrapped up leading worship, and he kind of grabs me and looks at me, and he's got tears in his eyes, and he just said, "Man," he's like, "I love you." And this is like, you know, again, that's my first introduction to Todd. And what took me back, though, is it was overwhelming, uncomfortable, but real, genuine love from a guy who didn't know me. And I just looked him back in the eye, and I'm like, this man is for real. And I just kind of this awkward kind of guy exchange where I'm like, I love you too, you know, kind of a moment. And I, you know, was immediately kind of just struck with the power of the love that was within him. My next experience with Todd, I was up in Canada, and he was supposed to be the guest speaker. And I'm leading worship that night, and we just heard that there's no way Todd's going to get through the border. And so, you know, they're scrambling for guest speakers. But of course, Todd did get through the border. And the next thing I know, he shows up just as we're wrapping up worship, and he was listening because it was live streamed. He's listening to it. He shows up, he steps out on stage, and he begins to just tell the story of how he got into the country, which was amazing. And you also the thing you realize with Todd is like none of his stories, it's not his highlight reel. It's not like 10 years ago, you know, kind of a thing. Like his testimonies are almost always on the way there. And which always, I got a kick out of it. But I'm listening to him preach and I'm feeling something happening in the room that I haven't felt happen in the church in a long time. But I'm listening to what he's saying and I'm going like, this guy is actually just telling the church the gospel, which was so interesting to me. I'm like, he's actually in a way being used to re-evangelize the church, to actually reset the standard for what it means to walk with Jesus, to walk in the power and the love of Jesus. And after that, we became more or less close friends and everything. The one thing that I can just tell you right now is there's one thing I know about Todd is he's the real deal. He's absolutely authentic, completely genuine. This is not about trickery or any kind of thing. Like he moves, he listens to the Lord. He's absolutely, completely humble. He knows where the power comes from, but he is faithful and he's outrageously obedient. And there's something that God has just honored and recognized in his life. We're sitting on a couch, we were just having coffee, and my good friend, who'd we known for years, who's been going through a hard time, was just there to pick up her little baby girl. She comes to the room, and Todd just stands up and says, "Hey, do you have neck problems?" And she's like, you know, looking around like, well yes, I do. and he's like, yeah, God told me that whoever's walking through that door is going to get a new neck. And we knew, you know, what our friend was going through, but he had no idea. And he just puts, you know, he puts her hand, you know, his hands on her neck and just prays for her very simply, very beautifully. And he's like, just move your neck. He's like, you're healed. And she moves her neck and she just starts freaking out and jumping up and down for joy. And that's just normal. And every single time, the thing about Todd is he kind of, just like I imagine Jesus does, like his lifestyle, he lives it out. It's not a talk. It's not just a preach. It's something that he lives out with absolute conviction. And he does it effortlessly. And there's something in it. When you watch it, you go like, I was made for that. Like I was made for that. And I believe that God is raising him up for such a time as this to reawaken the church, to reset the standard of what it actually means to follow in Jesus. I'm a huge believer in this man and what God, the mandate that he's put on his life. I know it's going to bear incredible fruit.